Hello everyone, Archana is here. Welcome to the 70th session of presentation, ICSE Class 10, Paper 2, Literature in English. In today's session, let us continue with the play, The Merchant of Venice, Act 2, Scene 3 to 9, written by William Shakespeare. Before we continue with today's session, let us know what happened in Act 2, Scene 1 and 2. Act 2, Scene 1. We met the Prince of Morocco and learnt more about the lottery of caskets designed by Portia's father. And the scene advances the subplot. In Act 2, Scene 2, the particular Act 2, Scene 2 introduces us to the jester of the play, that is Lancelot. It shows Bassanio preparing to go to Belmont. It is also a forerunner to the Lorenzo-Jessica elopement. Lancelot serves as a link between Lorenzo and Jessica. Now, let us deal with Act 2, Scene 3. This particular scene takes place in Venice. And the characters we can see in this scene, Lancelot and Jessica. Lancelot comes to bid farewell to Shylock's daughter, Jessica, because he is going to leave his job with Shylock, and Jessica feels sad that Lancelot is going to quit. She knows that her father's house is a veritable hell for her. It was Lancelot who used to make her happy by his humorous and witty remarks. Thus, his departure makes her unhappy. Jessica gives some money to him and asks him to deliver a letter to Lorenzo. Lancelot sheds a few drops of tears and praises Jessica for her sweet and kind nature. He says that he is sure that someday some Christian young man would kidnap her. After Lancelot's exit, Jessica says to herself that she is ashamed of being the daughter of a man like Shylock. She decides to run away with Lorenzo, marry him and become a Christian. So this particular scene diverts our attention from the main story that concerns Bassanio and Portia. It deals with the subplot of the story, that is the love story of Lorenzo and Shylock's daughter Jessica. Jessica, in her remarks about her father, throws sufficient light on the character of her father. She calls Shylock's house a veritable hell. The fact that she wants to run away with Lorenzo proves that she is extremely unhappy in her own father's house. So Shakespeare wants to convey that Shylock is not even a kind or beloved father. Next scene, Act 2, Scene 4 takes place in Venice, and the characters we can see here, Lorenzo, Gratiano, Salarino, Salanio and Lancelot. Right now in this scene we find Lorenzo, Gratiano, Salarino and Salanio discussing the proposal for a masque. Here masque means a dramatic entertainment which is popular among the nobility in 16th and 17th century England, which consisted of dancing and acting performed by masked players. It's a form, right? Okay, mask at night. So they are very busy in discussing about the performance which is going to happen at that particular night. Lorenzo says that they would slip away at supper time, disguise themselves at his place and come back within an hour. Gratiano informs that they have not made proper preparations for the masque. Salanio says that they should not go ahead without proper preparations. So Lorenzo says that it is only 4 o'clock and they have 2 hours in which to arrange for the necessary equipment. So Lancelot comes with a letter for Lorenzo. Gratiano remarks that it must be a love letter. Lorenzo asks Lancelot to tell Jessica that he will positively meet her at the appointed time and place. Lorenzo asks his friends to meet at Gratiano's house. He informs Gratiano that Jessica has planned to elope with him and that she will be carrying with her many gold coins and jewels. Lorenzo remarks that if ever Shylock happens to go to heaven, it will be due to the virtues of his daughter Jessica. At the same time, he remarks that if ever Jessica suffers in her life, it will entirely be due to her devilish father. So, in this particular scene is really very significant because it tells us about the elopement of Jessica with Lorenzo. The plan is that there will be a procession in which the revelers means the people who is enjoying themselves in a lively and noisy way. Okay, so in this procession there will be revelers who are wearing masks and carry torches. So they will be busy in merrymaking in the procession. The procession will pass by Shylock's house on its way to Bassanio's house. So Jessica will join the procession in boy's clothing. So she will disguise herself as a boy. In this way, she will escape in disguise from her father's house. Jessica's elopement with Lorenzo will carry the story further. Act 2, Scene 5. This particular scene, that is scene 5, takes place in Venice and the characters we see here, Shylock, Jessica and Lancelot. Shylock is shouting for Jessica. He is telling Lancelot that when he goes to Sir Bassanio, he will find the difference between his old master and the new master. He has been eating and drinking a lot at his house. He may not be able to do so in Bassanio's house. When Lancelot also calls for Jessica loudly, Shylock takes offense at it. Lancelot remarks humorously that he wanted to show that he could call for Jessica without being asked by Shylock to do so. Jessica enters and Shylock gives the keys of the house to Jessica and tells her to keep all the doors and windows closed. He asks her to do so because he does not want the rowdy crowd in the streets to see her. He tells her that he does not want to leave her alone in the house, but he has to go to attend the dinner at Bassanio's place merely to waste Bassanio's money. Lancelot, in the meanwhile, gives a hint to Jessica that Lorenzo will be coming to meet her at the appointment time when Lancelot leaves the place. Shylock tells his daughter that he is happy that Lancelot is joining the service of Bassanio. He will eat, drink and sleep there and ruin his new master. He again tells Jessica to keep the doors and windows closed because if due care is taken about things, they become secure. After Shylock leaves the house, Jessica says to herself that if luck favors her, she will elope with Lorenzo. She will lose a father and Shylock will lose a daughter. So this particular scene carries forward the subplot of the story. That is, Shylock leaves the house in order to have dinner with Bassanio. Jessica is left alone in the house. She gets an opportunity to elope with Lorenzo. Lorenzo and his friends are planning to bring out a mask. This mask will help Jessica to elope with Lorenzo. Jessica, who is in love with Lorenzo, is shown as a bold girl. On the other hand, Shylock is shown as a mean, calculating and clever character. He looks on everything with suspicion. In fact, this scene is a continuation of the last two scenes. And also we have learned that here Lancelot is also leaving Shylock's house, and now he's going to join his new master Bassanio. Next scene, Act 2, Scene 6. This particular scene also will take place in Venice, and here we see four characters. They are Gratiano, Salarino, Lorenzo and Jessica. Wearing masks, Gratiano and Salarino wait in a street for Lorenzo, who is late. They feel that it is strange on the part of Lorenzo to be late, as all lovers reach before time to honor their commitments to their beloveds. So Gratiano remarks that one does not have much appetite after having one's meal, as a horse does not have as much energy after the journey as he has before. Similarly, a ship loses its magnificence after it has completed its voyage. Gratiano gives these illustrations to prove that the eagerness of a husband for his wife is not as keen as that of a lover for his beloved. Lorenzo arrives and apologizes for being late. He assures them that he, too, would wait for them whenever the opportunity arose. They reach near Shylock's house and find Jessica in the balcony. She tells Lorenzo that she feels shy in boy's clothes. She asks Lorenzo to hold the bag containing gold coins and jewels. When Lorenzo tells her that she is to be his torchbearer in the masquerade, she feels embarrassed because a torchbearer is exposed to light. Lorenzo tells Gratiano that they both are faithful and sincere to each other. At that moment, Antonio arrives there and accuses Gratiano for being late at the dinner. Antonio tells them that there will be no masquerade because they are very late. Moreover, the wind is favorable and Bassanio is eager to sail off. Gratiano does not get disappointed because he too will sail off from Venice. So in this particular scene, the story of the subplot has moved further. Jessica is ready to elope with Lorenzo. Bassanio's ship is ready to move. Lorenzo and Jessica, it becomes clear later, go to Belmont on their own. They do not go along with Bassanio in his ship. Had they done this foolish act, they would have been caught as Shylock gets Bassanio's ship searched on the Duke's order. Now, we find how the subplot is being linked with the main plot. Act 2, Scene 7. Before I deal with this particular scene, I would like to tell more about the casket game. Here, the test of the 3 caskets was set up by Portia's late father as a way of deterring gold diggers and time wasters. The old man knew that his daughter, being both rich and good looking, would attract more than her fair share of suitors. But he wanted to make sure that they would be the right suitors, the kind who would love Portia for herself and not for her phenomenal wealth. And the first casket is gold, and the inscription goes in this way: "Who choose me shall gain what many men desire." So here the particular casket, the gold casket, is a symbol of greed and of materialistic and shallow people who value surface over substance. And the second casket is silver. The inscription goes in this way: "Who choose me shall get as much as he deserves." So the silver casket symbolizes a more cautious greed. So these are the people who make compromises in trying to fulfill their dreams, wanting to go for the gold but falling short. And the third one is lead. And the inscription goes in this way: who choose me must give and hazard all he hath. And the lead casket ends up being the right choice. It is plain on the inside, but it holds an inner treasure. So it represents Portia herself, who may one day grow old and plain, but who is beautiful and valuable on the inside. So the inscription on the lead casket also says, as we all know, that who choose me must give and hazard all he hath, which is the same in marriage. So this particular scene, that is Act 2 Scene 7, takes place in Belmont, and the characters we find here: Portia and the Prince of Morocco. The Prince of Morocco makes an effort to choose the right casket to win the hand of Portia in marriage. He examines the inscriptions on each of the casket and tries to interpret them before choosing one of them. So again he tries to interpret them before choosing one of them. The inscription on the lead casket says, as we all know right now, we have learned that whoever chooses me shall give and hazard all he hath. So the prince thinks that no sensible person will choose such a casket. So he then reads the inscription on the silver casket. It says, whoever chooses me shall get as much as he deserves. Whoever chooses me shall get as much as he deserves. So the prince thinks that he deserves Portia more than any other suitor because of his high rank, noble birth, and his great wealth and power. But then he argues that silver is 10 times inferior to gold, and therefore the silver casket cannot contain the portrait of Portia. He then examines the golden casket, which says, who chooses me shall get what many men desire. So the prince believes that the whole world desires to possess Portia. So he thinks that the golden casket contains the portrait of Portia. The prince therefore chooses the golden casket, but when he opens it, he finds an empty human skull holding a roll of paper in which it is written that he who is guided by the glitter of the things is generally deceived. So in this particular scene, we are brought back to the main plot of the story. Jessica's elopement with Lorenzo is over. Now we are made to see how things are happening in Portia's house in Belmont. The Prince of Morocco approaches the 3 caskets of lead, silver and gold and tries to make the right choice. So he, like other suitors, stands in front of each casket before choosing one of them, and he examines it. He is conscious of his high rank, noble birth, his great wealth and power, and he therefore chooses the golden casket. He is attracted by the glitter of the golden casket. But when he opens it, he is disappointed because he finds in it a human skull holding a roll of paper in which it is written that he who is guided by the glitter of things is generally deceived. It means that we all know that. Do not judge a book by its cover, right? So it is the same way. He judged the box, that is the casket, is in gold. So definitely he will choose the right casket. He will get what he deserves. Right? So he does not realize that it is the duty of the true lover to give an hazard. So he chooses the golden casket instead of the lead casket because he is fascinated by the outward glitter of the gold. Act 2, Scene 8. This particular scene takes place in Venice, and the characters we find here is Celarino and Celanio. Celarino and Celanio are found talking to each other. Celarino tells Celanio that Gratiano was present on Bassanio's ship, but Lorenzo and Jessica were not there in the ship. Celarino again tells Celanio that Lorenzo and Jessica went out in a pleasure boat. Then Celanio tells Celarino that when Shylock came to know about Jessica's elopement with Lorenzo, he went mad with rage. He shouted, "My daughter! Oh, my Christian ducats!" Celarino tells Celanio that the street boys considered Shylock mad and threw stones at him. Celanio says that it will cost very dear to Antonio if he is unable to return his money on the appointed day. Then Celarino says that he has come to know from some Frenchman that Antonio has lost one of his rich merchant ships. Celarino asks Celanio to inform Antonio about this, but he should convey this in such a manner that Antonio does not get a shock. Then Celanio says that Antonio is a very noble soul. And Celarino explains how Antonio took leave of Bassanio. It was a touching scene. Celarino and Celanio go to meet Antonio in order to cheer him up. So the scene shifts to Venice again, and we come to know about Shylock's anger over the elopement of his daughter Jessica with Lorenza and the loss of his gold coins and jewels. It appears that the loss of gold coins has troubled him more than the elopement of his daughter. It is in this scene that we come to know that Antonio has lost one of his rich merchant ships on the sea. So Antonio had hoped that he would be able to pay back Shylock's loan on the safe arrival of this ship. Though not much is mentioned about it, it suggests possibilities of more losses in the future. On the other hand, Shylock is mad with rage. It looks that he will take revenge upon Antonio at the first opportunity. The scene is significant because it furthers the action of the play. It also throws more light on the character of Antonio. We come to know about the affectionate nature of Antonio and his friendly love for Bassanio. So it appears that Antonio may have to face the trial in the court. Act 2, Scene 9. This particular scene takes place in Belmont, and the characters we find here: Portia, the Prince of Aragon. This scene is an extension of the casket story. Here we find the Prince of Aragon trying his luck. Portia tells him that if he succeeds in choosing the casket with her picture, she will marry him at once. If he chooses the wrong casket, he will have to leave at once without uttering a word. The prince says that he remembers the 3 conditions well, that he is not to disclose what choice he has made, that he is not to marry if he chooses the wrong casket, and that he is to leave Belmont at once. So what are those 3 conditions? First one, he is not to disclose what choice he has made. And the second condition, he is not to marry if he chooses the wrong casket. And the third condition is that he is to leave Belmont at once. Portia tells him that every suitor of hers is obliged to observe these three conditions if he is to try his luck. The Prince of Aragon rejects the lead casket as he does not want to risk his all for the worthless metal. He then reads the inscription on the gold casket. He thinks that what many men desire to possess may not be desired by him because he does not want to rank himself with the common people. He then turns to the silver casket and reads the inscription which says, "Who chooses me shall get as much as he deserves." So the inscription appeals to him because he thinks that he deserves the hand of Portia in marriage. He then moralizes over the corruption in the world. He says that the most undeserving people occupy high positions, whereas the most deserving people act as their subordinates. He then selects the silver casket. When he opens it, he finds it the portrait of a blinking idiot presenting a scroll in which he then moralizes over the corruption in the world. He says that the most undeserving people occupy high positions, whereas the most deserving people act as their subordinates. He then selects the silver casket. When he opens it, he finds in it the portrait of a blinking idiot presenting a scroll in which it is written that those who do not think carefully before taking any step in any matter are fooled in life. In the same way, the Prince of Aragon has been fooled. He then thinks that it was foolish on his part to have come to Belmont and try his luck by the caskets. Then he made a fool of himself by choosing a wrong casket. So he at once leaves the place. Portia remarks that he has been burnt in the flames like a moth, and that she is glad that he has chosen the wrong casket. Nerissa remarks that death and marriage depend on death's destiny. At that moment, a servant arrives to inform that a messenger has come with the greetings and presents. Portia tells Nerissa that she is eager to meet the suitor because he appears to possess decent manners. Nerissa wishes that this suitor may turn out to be Lord Bassanio. So we are again taken to Portia's house in this particular scene in Belmont. The Prince of Aragon makes his choice of the casket. Like the Prince of Morocco, he too does not attach any importance to the lead casket. He then examines the golden casket and rejects it too. He selects the silver casket and therein he finds the portrait of a blinking idiot. So he too fails to choose the right casket. So Morocco and Aragon leave the place. It appears that Shakespeare clears the pitch for Bassanio, who will soon try his luck. So students, here we have winded up today's session, and in the next session let us deal with Act 3. Thank you students.